So we will begin here with the corner, and we will keep adding stitches on the left side that you see here expanding, and we will also change colors and do shortened rows this time on the right side. So these are always going to stay the same, but the rows will get longer and longer, and the scarf will therefore get bigger and bigger. So this looks really great in the end. It's definitely worth trying it out, and it's really simple to do as well. This piece is 150 centimeters times 75 centimeters, and I used the ear socks. So I used 3 spools total for this entire scarf. So 3 out of the blue and 2 out of the orange. So color 7 and orange is 9. For this, I used a 4mm needle. But since I do work very loosely on my projects, you might need a bit bigger one. So 4.5mm one or even 5mm one if you work pretty tightly. The yarn itself is 100 grams and 400 meters, and it's 75% virgin wool and 25% polyamide. So let's get started right away. So I rewinded what I already recorded, and I realized that it's really hard to see what I'm doing with the blue. So I'll use the charity yarn this time because it's a bit thicker, and we will use a bigger hook then as well. But you can of course transfer and just do the same thing with pretty much any yarn or with the originally mentioned ear socks that I'm gonna use. So these guys here. So you get a nice soft texture from the ear socks, and I just want you to clearly see what I'm doing, so that's why we're using the charity. This number here is for you, so if you need to rewind to a specific row, it's easy to find it. So let's start as always with chains. This time we will do 5. And 2 more for the height. And now into the 3rd chain. I'll zoom in a bit. So into the 3rd chain we do a single crochet and then a chain. Into the 1st chain we do another single and another chain, and again into the 1st chain a treble. On the left we will increase the size of the scarf, and on the right we will have the straight side that will later have the little wings or corners. Row 2 starts with 3 chains to replace the first treble, then another chain and turn. Into the treble of the first row comes a single, then a chain. Around the chain before the treble we do a single and a chain. Single around the following chain, then another chain and another single around the first 2 chains of the first row, and then we are done. Start with 3 chains to turn with, and then around the first chain we do a single. Two times a single and a chain around the following 2 chains. Okay, and then another chain and a single around the 3 chains that we started with in the second row. and then we do another chain and another treble into the same spot. So we are again adding a new stitch here. This row begins just like the second one did, so 3 chains for the height, 1 more and turn, and then a single into the treble of the third row. Chain and a treble here around the chain before the treble, and now 3 chains or 3 times a chain and treble around the following chain. Another chain and the treble, a single around the 3 chains. There we go. The rows are really fast now because we don't have the length yet. 3 chains for the height and turn, 1 single around the chain. And now 4 times a chain and a single around each existing chain. Two times. There we go, 4, and then a chain and a single around these chains we started with, and then another chain and treble into the same spot. And you see here how our scarf grows with each row. So each even row begins the same way. So we're doing the 3 chains to replace the first treble, then another chain and then we turn. And then we do a single directly onto the treble. Then again a chain and a single around the existing chain that's after the treble. And then we do 5 times a chain and single around each next chain that we see. Third pair. And 5, and then another chain and single around the chains of the last row. Three chains to turn with and another single around the first chain. Now we do 6 times a chain and a single around each next chain. Three, six. There we go. Another chain and then a single. And as always, a chain and a treble, so this always stays the same. You end each row with an extra treble into the same spot as the last single, and each even row begins with 3 chains instead of a treble and an extra chain. Then we do a single into the first treble followed by a chain. Then a single around the next chain. And now 7 times chain and single. Three, seven, and another chain and single around the chains we started with. Three chains to turn with, and then a single around the first chain. And now again 7 times a chain and a single around the following chains of the last row. Three, seven, and 8th one, I made a mistake, so each time we do one more, we already did the 7. End with a single, chain, and treble, and now we will change the color. So I won't do white because I don't think that you can see well then. Instead, we'll do the light green shade. So start the treble with the old color or the first color and finish it halfway. And when you have 2 loops on the needle, you want to take your new color and continue with that one. You can actually do 3 chains and take the orange with you at the second chain. So this way you won't have any tension going on. So 3 chains and 1 extra one, and then a single into the existing treble. Then a chain and a single around the chain after the treble. And now we're doing 9 times chain and single. 3, 'So I'll cut this short since I weaved it in as I worked the row. Six, 9 and the chain and single into the chains we started with in the last row. Now begins the first green section, so I'll do a chain and a treble at the end of row 9. So again, in the same spot, just like on the other side, so just like we did so far. So for now, I'll move the 9th row out of the way for a second, so we will now begin the first green row. So let's start with a chain to turn with, and around the first chain after the treble, I'll do a single crochet. And then I'll do 5 times a chain and single, each time around the chains I already have here. Three, and 5, there we are. Then I'll do another chain and a slip stitch around the following chain. Now I'll turn and we will do our second green row. I'll do a single around the chain, so around the last chain before the slip stitch. Now again 5 times chain and single. Three, 2 more. Okay, then a chain and single into the chain we started with, the height chain of the last row, and afterwards again a chain and treble into the same spot. Now we have the third yellow row or green row, 1 chain to turn with, and right there a single around the chain before the treble, and then we will do 3 times chain plus single around the following chain. Three and 1 chain and the slip stitch around the following stitch. Then we again turn and then we start the 4th row. Single around the chain before the slip stitch. After that we do 3 times chain plus single. Now another chain and single around the chain we turned with. Now again a chain and treble. Fifth row. Turn with a chain and do a treble around the chain after the treble. And then we will do 4 times a chain and single. Two. And 4, and then a chain and slip stitch here a bit deeper into the slip stitch of the last row, so this is going to be a bit deeper single crochet. then 2 times chain and single, and again a chain, and here another single around this slip stitch, again a bit deeper. Again a chain and a single, and then we repeat chain and single, and then chain and slip stitch. Turn. So now we did the half of this section, so we're adding again. So the bottom section is now done. I'll show you. So we are here in the middle, and now comes the top section. Single around the chain before the slip stitch. Row 6, we will work back till the end of the row. So always a chain and a single around each chain you see. Now I stop one chain before last, so I always did this till the end up until now. Now we will go back, and for that we want to stop a bit before the very end, and we will then start row 7. Chain to turn with, and then a single around the next chain. Row 7, now I'll keep working until I have here just 3 chains left. So here's a single, and here the slip stitch, the chain, and another chain. So I'll count with you so that you can be sure what you're doing and how many you need to do. So let me check how many we need. So 6 total. I did the first one, so we need 5 more. And 5. 6 total, and the chain now. And now you see that you have just the 3 chains left over before the slip stitch. So after these 6, we will just do a chain and slip stitch and then turn. And now row 8, we will work till the last chain. So again, just keep doing chains and singles. And end before the last chain. Turn with a chain, and then comes a single into the chain before the last stitch. And now we will do 2 times chain and single. chain and a slip stitch, and you can see here 1, 2, and 3 chains before the slip stitch. End with a slip stitch and turn with a chain. And then a single right away. And then we work it back, chain and single, and then one more time. So here we again end before the last chain. Row 11 will be the last one I'll do in this greenish kiwi shade. So let's turn with a chain and then we can do a single. Another chain and single. And now here I'll do a chain and a deeper single into the slip stitch. Two times a chain and single. And another chain and single, and then 2 times chain and single. One chain and a single into the last slip stitch, so this section is now also done. And I'll show you how it looks for now. There we go. So now we can end this. So this was row 11. So we had here the 10th row, the first in the green was the 10th, and now we have the row 11. So a chain and single around the chain after those 3. Then a chain and a treble, and the last 2 loops of the treble we will do with our orange yarn. Three chains and 1 more to turn with, and then a single around the chain before the treble. And now you can, oh sorry, I forgot to take my green with me, so we are working the chains and singles as we did so far. Till the end of the row. We can shorten the green after a couple of stitches. There won't be many weaving in the end this way. So we are working the leftover bits and pieces into the work directly, so that way we save time that we would have spent weaving in the end. I'm now starting the orange, but you could do a third color if you'd like that. Now we're working it till the last stitch, and there we will finish with a single. So just like before the green, we will keep working this way. I'll show you on this one. So we're now, let me see, here at this spot. So now we will again do, let's see, 8 rows in the base pattern. And here are the crooked parts, and that's how our scarf grows. And then comes another orange section in this case. And here you had row number 10. And here then you'll have more and more stitches until the wider section again begins. So always 8 rows in the base pattern and then the second color. So I'm definitely happy that I showed you this on a bit thicker yarn. I think it's a lot easier to see and figure it out. As you can see, it's really not a difficult project. It's a really great result in the end, but it seems difficult, although it's really not. So basically all you're gonna need are some singles and chains and an occasional treble and slip stitch. So let me know what you guys think. I hope you enjoyed the project. If you'd like to see more, you can of course subscribe to the channel and stay updated. So to end with, I want to show you what the scarf looks like in the end. So there it is. Thanks for watching, Veronika Hug. I'll see you in our next video. Bye!